Welcome to this week's Hymn of the Week. This week we have ELW 603, God When Human Bonds Are Broken. Let's start with a few things about the text and then a few things about the music. The text we see was composed by Fred Kahn, and he wrote this hymn text in 1988. It was printed the next year in his collection of hymn tunes, or hymn texts, Planting Trees and Sowing Seeds, where it was titled, A Hymn for People Seeking Release from Broken Relationships and Forgiveness for Having Failed Others. So that's very interesting background. And I have a quote from Fred Kahn, which I think gives us a little more understanding. And here it is what Kahn says. He says, the text was triggered off in part by an experimental order of service devised by Minister John Johansen Berg in 1977 to help individuals or couples who have been given a legal divorce but desire to seek release from vows made before God so that they may feel free to make a new beginning. And Kahn also points out eventually that obviously the hymn has wider applications and may be helpful in any situation where human relationships have broken down. So I think most people would agree with me here. This text is just as powerful to sing today. It almost feels like it could fit today's society absolutely perfectly. I realize it was 1988, but we're now, let me count right, 90, so 30 years later. So in 2018. Let's look at the music. The music was composed by William H. Monk, and he was born in London and was an organist and choir master. But what I find most interesting here is he was also a professor of vocal music at King's College in London. Now, if we listen to this line and we were just to hum it on the flute, right? You hear that talented vocal there. So it's not a very wide range. You could sing, there's really no break to sing over. You have a nice tessitura that sits in. And so that really not just makes it easy to sing, but also makes it easier to focus on the character of maybe the text a bit and of the music itself. So I could see that being an additional bonus, so to say, for directors today, or even for congregations, or even for anyone that's experiencing this hymn tune with the text for the first time. Of course, the tune has been used with many other texts. I think one of the most famous ones would be the Advent tune, Hark, something sounding. I don't remember that. So some of you can put that in the comments, because I know someone will catch that. Other than that, the tune was published in a magazine that Monk edited, Parish Choir, and it was published in 1880. So I'm going to do something that I have rarely ever done before with this hymn, just because it talks about how to move on, the new start after broken relationships, and how God does heal. God ultimately brings that healing. No one else can. So I'm going to change key 2 times. Instead of changing once, I'm going to change twice. Because in verse 4 we have, send us God of new beginnings. So a clear switch or change in what's happening. And then in verse 5 there's a further step that we give us faith to be us more faithful. Give us hope to be more true. Give us love to go on learning. God encourage and renew. So those new beginnings keep coming. It's not that we just have one new beginning. And that's a very comforting message for the church, but it's also inspiring as we move forward in the kingdom. So here is God when human bonds are broken.
To restore
changing keys twice. I don't think it throws the congregation too much. Obviously, I wouldn't do that every week, but I do think that it really adds so much to that text. And what a lovely text by Fred Kahn. He unfortunately isn't living anymore, but great text for this Sunday's readings. And I do want to mention and thank Noel Rosthorn. I used his ideas for the last verse. Thank you very much for listening to Hymn of the Week.